You're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a real voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
Ahead on American Sunrise, returning to God. As America prepares to celebrate its 250th birthday, crowds gathered in Washington, D.C. for the Rededicate 250 event, highlighting the role of God in our nation's founding and future. We've got the analysis, and liberals have a stomachache. Plus, new concerns over Cuba. Are they planning to attack the U.S. with drones? I'm sorry, what? Was that a typo? It was not. Straight ahead, we've got the latest on the new U.S. intelligence assessment. And later, the road to 2028, Secretary of State Marco Rubio weighing in on the shaping political field and what's next for the race. We have those stories and more as I try to talk, and American Sunrise starts right now. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrence.
And I'm Dr. Gina. Good morning, everyone. I'm Emily Finn, filling in today for Dr. Gina. Thank you so much for tuning in to American Sunrise. We are live from West Palm Beach. Let's bring in David Brody in Washington, D.C., and Terrence Bates in our Denver newsroom. Good morning, you guys. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. Excited to be here with you this Monday morning.
Good to have you,
Emily. Good morning. David, good to see you. We know that Dr. Gina is out. The wedding, of course, you talked a lot about it, was this past weekend. David, you were in attendance. Can you give us a little highlight, or do you want to wait till Gina gets back? I'm sorry. I'm dying to know how it all went.
Well, no, I'm glad you asked. Let me just say this. It was phenomenal. Gina will give a 7-paragraph explanation of everything that went down, and all 7 paragraphs are glorious. It was just over the top in such a wonderful, wonderful, loving way, and I'll just say colorful way. And I'll leave it at that as a tease for when Gina gets back. But all I'll say is everyone's doing great, and it was a lot of fun. So kudos to her family and Jack and Maddie, who got married, and just phenomenal. Phenomenal.
A big congratulations to Jack and Maddie. That's so exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And David, we're glad you got back. Dr. Gina, in a true doctor fashion, will deliver a dissertation on the wedding when she returns. So we'll be
She's doing another thesis on it. She'll be doing a thesis on it. That's right.
Absolutely. Hey, guys, so look, over the weekend, the Rededicate 250 event happened there on the National Mall. It drew thousands of people. President Trump and other lawmakers, of course, using that event to call for faith, or David, as you've pointed out, to call for God in this country, particularly given its founding. Rav was on the ground for all of this. You're looking at some of the video there, and this really is kind of a rededication. There's a renaissance, David, I would argue, when it comes to faith in this country and when it comes to a return to God.
There is, and I'm glad you made the distinction, and I tried to do it as well this morning, T. Bates, because, a lot of people say return to faith. Well, hold on, what does that mean? It's so generic. It's kind of like saying the big guy in the sky, right? Let's hold on for a second. We're talking about the God of the Bible, the God of the universe here, and the principles of this country are founded upon him, right? Our rights come from God, not government. And so, to be clear, you can say that and at the same time say Christianity should not be be the official religion of the United States. The founders would not want it that way. That's never what they said. But what they did say is that the principles of this country were indeed founded on the God of the Bible. And because of that, look how rich and blessed this nation has become, Emily.
Amen to that, David Brody. I was very excited last week interviewing with the White House Faith Office. They were preparing for this event, and I said the same thing. I said our founding fathers would be rolling in their graves if they saw, how far we've gotten away from the Christian values that they wanted to found our country with. So this was an incredible event, and it was awesome to see Rav there, you guys.
Absolutely. Yes. And Rav was, of course, proud to be on the ground for that. I think this is a perfect segue, Emily, for our Bible verse for today.
It certainly is. Let's check it out. So today's Bible verse comes from John chapter 4, verse 24, and it reads, God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth. Always seeking the truth. All right, as we said, Rav was on the ground for that expansive coverage of the Rededicate 250 event in Washington, D.C. this weekend. And here was a message from House Speaker Mike Johnson. Take a look.
Those voices have sought to distort the self-evident truth that we know so well, that our founders boldly proclaimed in the Declaration, that our rights do not derive from the government, they come from you, our Creator and Heavenly Father. Lord, just as we humbly sought out your guidance in past trials, we are doing it here again today. We turn to you once again to save us from these afflictions, to deliver us from the forces of evil, oppression, injustice, and tyranny, both within our borders and beyond our shores. And Lord, never let us be separated from your mercy and your love.
Let's now bring in Rav DC correspondent Neil McCabe. Neil, always a pleasure to see you. What were your thoughts on this event? Such a beautiful thing and much needed in a place like DC.
Sure.
Yeah, I was there for all of our coverage, and it was absolutely amazing. I got there early because I'm always nervous about getting my credentials, and it was just great to see the lines forming, the buses coming in, like people from all over the country who wanted to be a part of Rededicate 250. And then in my own mind, as I was sort of watching it, the stage was facing the Capitol, and so I was just sort of picturing that energy flowing from the crowd to the stage and then being shot onto the Capitol to sort of maybe wake those guys up too. It was a beautiful, wonderful day.
Yeah, it really was like a church event. Like everybody went to Cracker Barrel afterwards, after the 11 a.m. service. It was pretty cool. Hey, let's turn to Iran. That's an interesting turn, right? From God to Iran. Trump is out with a Trump is out with a Truth Social post, and it's pretty provocative, as it normally is. He says, for Iran, the clock is ticking, and they better get moving fast, or there won't be anything left of them. Time is of the essence. I can't even speak this morning. President DJT. I'm always fascinated by when he uses "thanks for your attention to this matter." When does that come into play? But anyhow, all right. So what's the deal? What do you think? I'm getting a sense we may get some action this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the president, if he was going to take action, he wanted to be on the other side of Mother's Day, on the other side of Rededicate 250, on the other side of his trip to China. And now the calendar is relatively clear, and now he can focus on this, and it's going to be resolved because he does not want the Iran war to interfere with the World Cup, with the celebration on July 4th, and certainly he doesn't want it to be talked about in the midterms. And so he has the ability to resolve this. The Iranians know that. They just seem to be delusional. They just seem to think that they can, they can ticky-tack and they can draw this thing out and they can sort of play games. He's not really interested in playing games. And what I watch every day is the movement of USS Boxer and that amphibious readiness group that is with its 9 landing crafts and its 2,000 Marines as it approaches the theater. As soon as it chops into 5th Fleet, which is the Navy's version of Central Command, I think they're going to go after those islands where the mosquito boats and the drones are being launched. And then once we have control of the islands in the Strait of Hormuz, that becomes our Gibraltar. And it didn't have to be that way. but it may end up be that way. And certainly, you know, what we heard from the president and his team after the China trip is that President Xi signed off on Trump handling the Iran problem.
Neil, between the White House and the Pentagon, how closely is the situation in Cuba being watched? And I asked that question given this Axios headline, which reads, exclusive U.S. eyes attack drone threat from Cuba. Cuba apparently has acquired more than 300 drones. And then, of course, there's also the idea that there might be an indictment against Raul Castro, the former president there in Cuba. We're hearing that the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, visited Cuba last week. Apparently, Marco Rubio visited Cuba secretly this year as well. What's going on over there? Cuba is obviously a thorn in the side and has been for a while, but it sounds to me like the president might be ready to pull that thorn out.
I believe that the White House still thinks that the Venezuelan model will work, especially in Cuba. And so, you know, Maduro was indicted. Now Raul Castro is indicted. The fact that the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, went to Cuba and they announced it, right? It goes back to it's not what is said, but why is it said? Why would the federal government tell us that the CIA director was in Cuba? The signal there is that the government has a choice. They can go along with the Venezuelan model or not. And remember, you know, USS Nimitz just pulled out of a port call in Rio. It is heading north, and it is fully certified for flight operations, even though it's getting ready to be decommissioned. USS Nimitz is a fully functioning supercarrier with a carrier group, and it is heading north towards Cuba, and so we'll see how that plays out. But I don't think the Pentagon's worried about some Cuban drones. It is interesting that Axios got another one of these sort of intel leaks. It's almost like the dissidents inside the intel community are leaking to Axios to try to sort of throw the White House off its game, but it's not going to work this time.
Neil, I do want to completely switch gears here for a moment with you. I was seeing some rumors on social media over the weekend that President Trump may have a speech prepared that he is expected to deliver about extraterrestrial life. UAPs, this has been a huge topic lately. They just released some files a couple weeks ago. Congressman Tim Burchett had a funny post over the weekend about Trump with an alien. I have to know, even the president's daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, said months ago that he had something prepared. Can we expect to see anything from the president anytime soon on UAPs?
I don't think there's anyone who hijacks and dominates the news cycle like President Trump. And nothing is going to do that like a UFO speech by Trump. And so we're already seeing sort of the precursors, right? The signature proteins of this speech are in the social media posts. And so if I would have no doubt that that's coming, and they're just holding it for when they see the opportunity to hijack the news cycle and dominate it.
Well, Neil, I certainly hope they roll out the aliens with that announcement. We appreciate you being with us this morning. Thank you, Neil.
Nanu, nanu.
All right, coming up, we check out the hottest headlines from the RAV newsroom with T. Bates. And later, New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani is now seeking a meeting with billionaire Ken Griffin after facing backlash over his Tax the Rich video. Will the two actually sit down? We break it down coming up on American Sunrise.
I'm old enough to get that, T-Base. Nanu, nanu.
You got that, thank you. I was like, that's probably going to go over so many people's heads.
Yeah. I used to love Mork and Mindy.
Hey, Tracy, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
What's the weather story today, Tracy?
We have got a moderate risk for severe, so we're talking EF3 tornadoes or stronger possible. in parts of Kansas.
Oh, tornado in Kansas. I've seen that movie.
Well, the good news is all you have to do is click your heels 3 times and you'll get back home.
That's right. And by the way, she could have done that all along. Why did the witch? Why did Glenda just not tell her at the beginning? But no, they drag it out for 2 hours. Sorry, I'm a little bitter this morning.
No, I never thought of that. It's a valid point.
It's great. I think it's a great point by me as I pat myself on the back.
Mork and Mindy. I don't think I've ever heard of that show.
You've never heard of Mork and Mindy? It's a 70s, maybe, probably late 70s, maybe early 80s show with, was it Dustin Hoff? Who was Mork?
This news break is brought. This news break is brought to you by AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens.
Well, that's Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and every time we hear of Shanksville, Pennsylvania, we know exactly what we will be talking about when we see that, and that, of course, is Let's Roll, right? 2001, heading for the Capitol or the White House. Still not clear where that plane was heading, but it went down in a field in Shanksville, PA, saving countless lives. Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. I'm David Brody. Let's get to the headlines with T. Bates, sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
The U.S. Justice Department is reportedly preparing an indictment against former Cuban President Raul Castro. It could be handed up as soon as Wednesday. The move comes as President Trump has publicly threatened military action against the communist-run island. The expected indictment is said to be centered around Castro's alleged role in the 1996 shootdown of 4 airplanes linked to Miami-based exile group Brothers to the Rescue. Raul Castro was serving as Cuba's defense minister at the time before later being elevated to president. Criminal charges against the 94-year-old former Cuban dictator could set the stage for U.S. military action similar to the operation that landed Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in a New York jail cell. You may remember American special forces extracted Maduro from his home country and then brought him to the U.S. to face charges. CIA Director John Ratcliffe reportedly met with Castro's grandson, Raul Guillermo Rodriguez Castro, last week in Cuba. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has also met with the younger Castro in what's described as a secret encounter. Well, it is back to the drawing board for Senate Republicans as they seek to fund President Trump's $1 billion ask for security additions at the White House. At issue is a Senate parliamentarian saying that part of the Immigration Enforcement Reconciliation Bill, in which the funds are earmarked, doesn't meet the Senate procedural rules. The parliamentarian argues a project as large and complex as the president's East Wing renovation and ballroom is too broad to be included in the GOP's funding plan. Senate Republicans are already spinning the roadblock, saying, quote, "None of this is abnormal. Redraft, refine, resubmit." Work on an acceptable funding bill could get underway as soon as today if it hasn't already. Senate Republicans, by the way, drafted the immigration funding bill separate from the funding plan for the Department of Homeland Security in order to circumvent Democrat opposition and pass the legislation through budget reconciliation, which only requires a simple majority vote. And finally, caught on camera, a fiery fighter jet crash in Idaho. Here it is. This all happened during an air show at Mountain Home Air Force Base in the western part of the state. As you can see, 2 Navy EA-18G Growlers collided during an aerial demonstration. The 4 crew members on board the planes ejected safely and are in stable condition this morning. No one on the ground was hurt either. But there, as you can see in the video, The planes fell to the ground and quite literally exploded into flames. The airbase says the crash site was immediately locked down and the air show was canceled. Apart from what you just saw, there's no word what factors may have contributed to the crash. Crazy. That's a quick check of your headlines. We'll have more headlines coming up here in just a little bit. But now, let's get a quick check of your forecast. Weather Nation meteorologist Tracy Anthony standing by with the possible outlook for some severe weather this morning. Tracy, good morning.
Good morning. You know, it was an active weekend. Over 400 severe thunderstorm warnings issued, over 70 tornado warnings issued by the National Weather Service. And our crews caught scenes like this in Palmer, Nebraska. So you can see a tornado that did develop and grow extremely quickly. So all the ingredients and just a very conducive environment for more strong to severe thunderstorms stretches from the Great Lakes all the way down to Texas for the day today. But it's this area between Omaha and Wichita, Kansas, where we have a level 4 out of 5 severe weather outlook. And that is where we're expecting the chance for EF3 or stronger tornadoes. Now, we can also expect long duration tornadoes. So these storms can do a lot of damage, just like the one that we were dealing with yesterday in Palmer, Nebraska. You can see these homes almost leveled to the foundation. So as of right now, no fatalities have been reported, so that's kind of the silver lining. But yesterday was just kind of the start of things. Today is going to ramp up, and that severe weather threat is going to be even greater. We're also talking the threat for hail, over 3.5 inches in diameter. So we're talking softball size hail possible for some of these same areas between Omaha and Wichita. Could have 2-inch diameter hail stretching from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, all the way down to Abilene, Texas. So that's going to be the big concern, but also with these storms impacting the same areas again and again, Terrence, flooding is going to be a big threat even into midweek. So lots of active weather, mainly kind of focused around the Central Plains.
All right, and also just a great reminder there to download the Weather Nation app so that you can stay abreast or stay informed about all the things that might be happening in your community and around you. Always good to see you, Tracy. We'll check in with you next hour to get a look at our hometown forecasts.
Yeah, make sure you drop those hometown forecasts in the chat for me.
All right, will do. Thank you so much. Up next, troop deployments halted. The Pentagon cancels planned U.S. troop deployments to Poland as well as Germany. The big question, what's behind the move and what could it mean for America's alliance with Europe? The very latest next here on American Sunrise.
All right.
David Zere, good morning.
Hi, how are you, Terrence?
Doing well. How are you, David?
I'm good. Just got in at 4 in the morning from D.C., a little sleepy.
Oh, wow.
Gosh.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Drove through the night after the 250.
Oh, that's exhausting. I can't imagine.
Yeah. It was good. I had an extra large sugar-free Red Bull, a cherry Coke, no sugar.
Good. We'll be
Cheez-Its
asking
got
you
me
about the dietary impact. That'll be the last
Yeah,
question.
it's bad. It's terrible.
Terrible.
Well, I drink kachava and mushroom rise coffee every day to make up for it. So.
Okay. Wow. My
Keep the
goodness.
inflammation down.
That's called dedication. Rededication.
I'm rededicated.
You're more like dead right now. You're dedicated.
All right.
Please do me a favor. From one budding senior to another, take a nap.
Yeah, I wish. I have to do another show right after this.
Oh my gosh, I would be horizontal. take a guess. It's Dunedin, right? Am I going to get beat up in the chat over this? It's Dunedin, Florida. Ron DeSantis' hometown, by the way. He was a big baseball star in Dunedin, Florida. Did you know that? There's your trivia for today. I like to come armed with facts because we are not CNN. Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. All right, Secretary of State Marco Rubio had this message of faith for the attendees of the Rededicate 250 event. Take a look.
On this day, 2.5 centuries ago, our forefathers gathered for the second time in as many years for a national day of fasting and prayer. The resolution of the Continental Congress called on the 13 colonies to humble themselves in preparation for the coming war, with true penitence of heart and the most reverent devotion publicly to acknowledge the overruling providence of God. In 3.5 months' time, the colonists would be in open revolt against the most powerful empire in the history of the world. Many, on both sides of the Atlantic, thought their cause was a suicide mission. The founders were not naive men. They knew their lives were on the line. That was the premise of Benjamin Franklin's dark joke after signing the Declaration of Independence, where he said, "We must indeed all hang together, or most assuredly, we shall all hang separately." They had no guarantees of victory. They knew that what they were trying to do had never been done before in human history. But with the dark storm clouds of war looming on the horizon, they did what Christians have always done, across place and time for 2,000 years. They turned their eyes to heaven and placed their fate in the hands of God.
Sounding a little presidential. Oh, I'm sorry, I digress. Let's now bring in RAV correspondent and the host of Breaking Point, which you can see on the weekends here on RAV, David Zier, who somehow, some way, is upright this morning after being at the Rededicate 250 event. David Zier driving through the night to be here on American Sunrise. David, good morning. Tell us about the event. Wow.
It was an incredible event. Good morning, everybody. Americans from all walks of life were there, and the WAPO, you know, the Washington Post, making it like Trump's trying to erase the line between church and state. Meanwhile, there's nothing in the Constitution about separation of church and state, and it was really clear that Benjamin Franklin and George Washington and others wanted a biblical morality and a religious populace vital to sustaining a virtuous, self-governing republic. It was the best weather day in D.C. For the year. You know, it was 40 degrees last week there in the morning. It was just a phenomenal day. Everybody was so nice. It was not exclusionary in any way, shape, or form. It was really a reiteration of our history of the founding fathers. And it couldn't have come more timely, as D.C. is back under Trump, for one. You know, you can't get a hotel. You can't get a reservation in a restaurant. It is just jam-packed, teeming with people. I've never seen it like that in 50 years ago in there. And I was at Arlington National Cemetery the day before, watching the changing of the guard, the tomb of the unknown soldier, 410,000 bodies buried there, you know, of soldiers, greatest sacrifice. Coming into Memorial Day weekend, I thought the whole thing was very appropriate. It was a special day. There's no doubt about it.
Wow.
David, you talked about going to Arlington National Cemetery. That, of course, is right across the water from the Pentagon, not far at all. So let's talk a bit about the Pentagon, which has apparently halted deployments to Poland and Germany in order to cut troop numbers in Europe. That's according to AP sources. A memo also apparently came out saying that a move of combat teams out of Europe was happening. What more can you add to this reporting?
I would just say that this is part of a broader plan to bring back European levels back to 2022 levels. This is not brand new in total about drawing down troops in Europe. And we've given assurances to the Polish government that they are secure. And this would not affect, you know, any deployments in the future if there was a conflict. And I guess, again, also, you know, Poland has been a really strong ally of us. And, you know, Germany and other countries in Europe are still allies, but have not helped us in the Gulf and the Straits of Hormuz and the Strait of Hormuz. And, you know, why should we keep funding the bill? 15% of NATO is funded by the U.S. based on our GDP. And, you know, we have, we're not getting any assistance outside of one destroyer from Great Britain. I think Trump is sending a message, but also I don't think anybody's security is in jeopardy.
David, New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, hard to get that out on an early Monday morning.
Yeah.
He says that he has tried to set up a meeting with a billionaire CEO after facing backlash over his, quote, tax the rich videos. The mayor says his team reached out to Citadel CEO Ken Griffin, but has not heard back. The video, which targeted Griffin's luxury penthouse, sparked strong criticism and renewed debate over Mamdani's tax policies. Dave, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, Griffin said it was scary. The video was scary, basically. And he doubled down that, this was part of his decision to withdraw people from New York, right? Saying he's going to expand operations in Miami. But this is a terrible indicator going forward, because I'm sure on top of the 50% or so of businesses that have left New York City, financially related, stock market related, there's going to be more. Dallas, Palm Beach, the new headquarters for the world in finance and others. So I think Mamdani made a big mistake. I don't know if there's any coming back from it to a degree. With family living downtown, I'm worried about the future financial ability for, small business owners, the dry cleaners, the restaurants, and others who depend on these companies. And then with the congestion tax on top of it, and then wanting to tax the intergenerational wealth at 60% of state tax. Now it's 16%. 5,000 businesses left New York City last year. I think that New York City is in this long decline ahead of us. It may not happen overnight, but it looks like it's coming.
David Zier, with us on virtually no sleep. We thank you so much for being here, my friend. We appreciate
Thanks,
it.
David. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Coming up, speaking of sleep, by the way, we're going to put it under the microscope. A closer look at the sleep you're getting or not getting. How much is too little? How much is too much? We break down what the science says. Okay, the science, yada, yada, yada. But we'll talk about it next on American Sunrise.
This Memorial Day weekend, it's more than an event. It's a celebration of the United States of America and the people who love her. Join Real America's Voice and Real America's Music for Celebrate Freedom, a one-of-a-kind live broadcast and concert experience at the iconic Marty B's in Dallas, Texas. From 4 to 9 p.m., patriots from across the country will come together for an unforgettable night, honoring faith, freedom, and the spirit that makes this nation strong. The entire event is live, kicking off with a powerful hour of worship, followed by a national broadcast hosted by Bo Davidson, featuring voices you trust like Ben Burquam, and building into a full concert experience with performances from Wynn Williams and Ram artist Deepak, Natasha Owen, Celeste Kellogg, and more. This is an American Love Fest, and you are part of the show. Tickets are free, but you must register, and they will go fast. Scan the QR code now to lock in your spot before they're gone. Celebrate Freedom, presented by Patriot Mobile and Preborn. Let's celebrate America together.
I'm in Blair. Hello, David Brody. Can you hear us?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
All right. Thanks for being here, and appreciate you dealing with some of the rescheduling we need to do. So thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me on.
All right. Sounds good. Well, stand by. We're coming to you here in just a couple minutes. Boy. Oh, boy.
Listen up. Change the words, dodge the blame, sell the lie, then double back. They say trust us, don't ask why. Look away, don't use your eyes. But truth don't.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It is time now for today's health news, sponsored by The Wellness Company. And under the microscope today, doctors say there may be a sweet spot for sleep, and getting too little or too much may be linked to long-term health issues and faster biological aging. A major study of more than 500,000 adults found that about 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night was associated with the best health outcomes. Researchers found that people who regularly slept less than 5 hours or more than 9 had higher risks of health problems, cognitive issues, and early death. Experts say consistent, high-quality sleep plays a major role in overall health, along with diet and exercise. Are we on the verge of another pandemic? Is the hype real? Should we be worried? Is this just another effort to terrorize Americans before an election? Who can we trust? That's where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from TWC doctors all the time on this network, and you know that their products are the gold standard for keeping you and your family safe and healthy. The Wellness Company gives you the opportunity to make sure you are prepared for whatever happens with their series of prescription medical kits. Kits that contain an assortment of life-saving medications and guidebooks to assist in the proper use of the medications. Additionally, the Wellness Company offers a variety of products from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more that can help you stay healthy and live a longer and more satisfying life. Be prepared, not scared. Go to www.twc.health/RAV today and order. Again, that website is twc.health/RAV. Make sure to use the promo code RAV to save 10%. All right, let's send it over to David.
Thank you, Emily. Appreciate it. All right, a House subcommittee recently held a hearing focused on the growing concerns over radical Sharia influence in America and whether it could threaten core constitutional freedoms. One of the witnesses was Eamon Blair of the Texas Public Policy Foundation, who warned lawmakers that weak border security and illegal immigration networks may be creating opportunities for extremist ideologies to spread. Here's part of the testimony.
While all eyes are on conflict with Iran overseas, that conflict is not confined to distant battlefields. It is playing out right here on our shores. Iran has waged decades-long hybrid operations in the Western Hemisphere and U.S. interior, leveraging proxies including Hezbollah, Hamas, and Muslim Brotherhood-linked networks alongside cartel smuggling infrastructure. These threat networks increasingly utilize gray zone tactics, operating under the threshold of armed conflict inside the United States through cyber-enabled influence operations, propaganda ecosystems, and online radicalization platforms to accelerate recruitment, coordination, and institutional influence. These networks exploit migration corridors and distribute institutional ecosystems inside the United States. They operate through nonprofits, charities, educational institutions, advocacy groups, media ecosystems, and political conditions to pursue influence, concealment, and institutional entrenchment.
And Eamon Blair joins us now with more. Eamon, good morning. Important testimony that you gave there. To talk a little bit about the issue at hand overall and what folks here need to know, kind of in a Reader's Digest version of what's going on in Texas and really across the country.
Sure. Well, one, thank you for having me. But as we saw on Friday, the DOJ announced the arrest and charging of Mohammed Bakr al-Sadi. Everything that I said in my testimony happened exactly right after I testified. He's a 32-year-old Iraqi national. He's a senior commander for Kataib Hezbollah, which is a designated foreign terrorist organization. He's tied to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and he's conducted almost 20 terrorist attacks in Europe, as well as the United States and Canada, since February. That same governing structure that I talked about in my testimony, he created sleeper cells throughout Europe and throughout the United States to conduct gray zone operations. And then once he wanted to, what he did, like I mentioned social media, in March, he contacted everyone on his social media platform telling the sleeper cells, let's start, let's attack, let's go. And so that's where you saw attacks in Canada, failed attacks in Manhattan, as well as Arizona.
So we have President Trump at the helm, but how much of this problem comes back to border policy? Do you believe Washington is taking the threat seriously enough? We know the president is, but what about Congress?
I mean, all eyes, like I said on the testimony meeting, all eyes are on overseas and contingency operations in Iran. We fail to recognize that Iran has been creating sleeper cells inside the Western Hemisphere since the 1980s. We know that if you remember of that bombing in Argentina in the 90s, that indictment, there was a 500-page report based off that indictment that showed exactly how Iran established sleeper cells using the Mexican cartels and cartels across the United States. So while our focus is on overseas, or it has been like in the Caribbean, I hope that Congress in America and the White House address the actual networks, address the gray zone conflicts in the war here at home. And this is what happened, that indictment that happened on Friday in regards to that Mohammed Bakr al-Sadi. I think more needs to happen in terms of breaking these sleeper cells in the networks here inside the United States. But I think Congress has... Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go, please.
Yeah, no, I think Congress has not codified anything that President Trump has tried to do. Look, President Trump can't govern based off of executive orders alone. And I think that's another reason why our house here in Texas actually visited the White House, and Stephen Miller addressed them saying, look, we are a constitutional republic. We realize that we cannot work from the federal down. We need to work from states up. And that's why here at Texas Public Policy Foundation, we are working to conduct counterterrorism here in each state, by conducting great policy, by working with our state and local law enforcement in a joint task force, multi-agency, multi-jurisdictional approach. Just because we realize that Congress right now, whether they're in support of it or either they refuse to fund it, like funding DHS, funding Border Patrol, funding ICE. Look, it's gonna be up to states now to save this nation, not waiting for Congress to act.
No doubt about it. We'll have to have you back on to talk about what's in the water in Texas as it relates to all the mosques being built, especially in that Dallas area. And I know they shut down Epic City, what they were trying to do up there, but we'll talk about it next time. Amon Blair, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for having me.
All right, great stuff. Coming up, 2028 is in focus. Secretary of State Marco Rubio weighing in on the 2028 race, and he signals a preferred candidate. Oh, I will stick around for that. I am glued to the seat, literally. I can't get up. More next on American Sunrise.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we didn't put it in there. Like, you know.
Guys, is there any way I could see a bigger shot really quick, please? Thank you. I'm so sorry. I'm an influencer now, guys. Okay. Thank you. Welcome back to American Sunrise. All right, real quick, go look at whatever coffee is on your counter right now. Does it say blend on it? Because most people have no idea what that actually means. It means the beans came from multiple countries, different farms, unknown origins, mixed together so the flavor stays consistent no matter what they throw in. And if those beans look oily, that is not freshness. This is what happens when you over-roast to mask the inconsistency. 1775 coffee is one certified organic farm in Bolivia. Single origin, ships direct from Bolivia to Miami and straight to your door. Small batch roasted in the USA. You already drink coffee every morning, so make it one you can actually stand behind. 1775coffee.com. Make sure to use the code RAV for 15% off your order. All right, now that we are caffeinated, it's time to stay awake, not woke. And today we are discussing Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who said he would be the first person to back Vice President J.D. Vance for president in 2028. Take a look at this.
Even. What do you think about that? Would you want to be president?
No, look, I know this is going to sound like the typical job. I'm going to be in this job for the next 2.5 years. I'm going to do that job. I'm going to finish the job for this president. I'm enjoying it very much. I think we're going to make a lot of good things happen. JD is a very good friend of mine. If JD runs for president, I think he'd be a phenomenal candidate. I've said publicly, and I'll say it again, I'll be the first person to sign up and support him. I think JD would do great.
Would you want to be a vice president?
I want to be the Secretary of State, and I'll worry about the future in the future. I'm not saying, I'm not telling you that that's what I'm aiming for. I've been doing this for a long time, too. I was in the Senate starting in 2010, so I'd like to do some other things with my life at some point, although public service is an honor to be able to be involved with them.
Okay.
All right, interesting there. Can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts. I mean, he ran for president once before, all right? So we know that the ambition does exist, but that was really, really political correct in his response there, David.
Yeah, it was. Do you notice I try to read the tea leaves a little bit, and I try to read the body language, and I try to read the brevity of the response. Did you notice when he was asked right at the top, are you going to run for president? He went, no, but he was like this, quick. No, but. Like, in other words, there wasn't a definitive. Okay, he said no, but he kind of muffled it. It was just like, no, but let me talk about something I want to talk about, which is what they do all the time. And then when he got to J.D. Vance, it's what he said publicly. He has to continue that. I think. Listen, I'm not going to speak for Rubio, obviously. I have no idea what's going on inside of his mind. But being around this town for a long time, I've interviewed Rubio about 20 to 25 times in my career. I know him pretty well. My sense of what's going on here is that he's just waiting it out and see what happens. That he's waiting for a cue from President Trump. Because when President Trump and him have that eventual conversation where Trump will go, so Marco, what do you want? Do you want it? Do you want to go for it? What do you want to do? When that happens, then the calculus will change. And it wouldn't be a surprise if he changed his mind, because this just in, politicians change their mind all the time. So that wouldn't surprise me at all. But I do think he's waiting for President Trump to kind of give him the signal to say, do it, Marco, and I've got your back. It could very well be he doesn't run and becomes some sort of vice president choice for Vance. But I still say, and I've been on record of saying it, T-Bates, so do you, Emily, that I believe that Rubio's going to run. I think Trump's going to endorse him, and I think that's going to be the surprise of the 2028 election cycle. Once again, if I am wrong, then it was Terrence who said it, not me.
And you know what? I will take that, David. It was all me. I think what we just saw was a masterclass of redirection. Marco Rubio basically continued to bring it back to, I'm in this job right now. I'm Secretary of State. I'm working for this president, and I am going to continue to give this my all. That's the smart way to go about it. It shows he's a team player. It shows he's on board President Trump, and it takes the heat off of him, because if he says, yes, I want to run for president, then he's got to defend every move he makes for the next 2 years, as opposed to, hey, I'm here, I'm working at the bidding of President Trump, I'm a team player. And then towards the end of President Trump's term, as we get closer to 2028, if he decides to make the move to run, then he can run based on, I've been a good soldier for President Trump, and of course I'm using that figuratively, but I've been a good soldier for President Trump. Here's what I've achieved as Secretary of State, and so I've got the chops now to run the country. I think the onus is going to be the onus will be more on Vice President Vance. It's going to be a bit more on Vice President Vance because the suspicion is most people expect that as Vice President, he would be the next in line, that he would run for president, whereas Marco Rubio can now sit back for a little while, simply do his job, and the better he does his job, the more he ups his profile, then he can come out closer to the actual election, and he'll have a bit of momentum as opposed to trying to get that momentum now and allowing it to fizzle out. Just my 2 cents, David.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. Just one last thing. He also might be waiting for the clamoring part of this, right? In other words, he sits back, he doesn't do anything, and waits for people to clamor for him. You know, that if J.D. Vance starts to, you know, the poll numbers start to sink, things don't look good, there's the Israel issue, there's the Tucker Carlson-ish ties, there's all that. And then he waits around and people are clamoring for Marco, and then he can say, look, I didn't want to run. At the time when I said it, I was true to what I believe. But you know, if people want me to run, look, I'll do it. I mean, I guess if you really want me to, you know, that type of thing. I could totally see that. And by the way, if you're not interested in running for president, you don't make rededicating 250 videos like we saw about 10 to 15 minutes ago, where all of that, you know, it was stars and stripes and it was floating clouds. All we needed was a floating George Washington in the background. I mean, that was aspirational. Listen, I've been around this town long enough. I think he's running. I really do.
I think you're absolutely right, David. I think it's going to be really exciting to see. All right, coming up, as the nation approaches its 250th birthday, can America rebuild faith and trust in a divided time? We break it down next on American Sunrise. Okay, thank you.
We're live on YouTube. What up, YouTubers? Did I call you YouTubers? No, you.
Hi, Cynthia. Good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, Kelly. You say you like Rubio. Yeah. Tell you what, he's gone from Tea Party to GOP establishment to MAGA. That's quite a interesting road.
That was a great segment. I enjoyed that.
Oh, thanks. Hi.
Good.
Good morning.
How are you? Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm doing great, thanks.
We're not on with you, but we love compliments, so our ears perked up.
So what do you think? I'm curious. Will Marco run?
You know, I think he's got some great experience. I don't know. I don't make those predictions. We'll just wait and see.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is a good answer.
Exactly. Talk about political redirect. He's got great experience.
I think he's got pretty remarkable experience, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And
bless his heart. Good luck.
Yeah.
God bless the USA.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
All right, welcome back to American Sunrise. It's time now for our Moment of Faith, brought to us by Lee Greenwood and the God Bless the USA Bible. In focus today, as America approaches its 250th birthday, a new book is sparking conversation about the nation's true foundation. In celebrating God, our founder, at America's 250th birthday, author Cynthia Scott argues that God's providence shaped key moments in U.S. history, from the Pilgrims to the Constitution, while encouraging a new generation to pray for the nation's future. Cynthia Scott joins us now. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. What an awesome topic to be talking about. Why the 250th anniversary is a spiritual moment, not just a historical one. Can you break that down for us?
Well, I think as you look at the history, and good morning, thank you so much for having me on. As you look at the history of America, it is a spiritual history. We were a nation that was devoted to God long before we ever became the United States of America, steeped in about 150 years of faith, going all the way back to the Pilgrims. And we see God's hand of providence at many moments throughout our history. So it is really impossible to be a true student of history and not see that God was involved from the beginning.
Absolutely, absolutely. When you look at the history, it's impossible to not see God's hand in all of these moments. You know, I want to talk about the National Day of Prayer and the themes surrounding that. What would you say that reveals about where this country is right now?
The National Day of Prayer, its 75th anniversary, was just a couple of days ago, as you know. And I think that we are seeing a resurgence in prayer in America. I've looked at another ministry that is really prominent, is Intercessors for America. And they have over 1 million hits on their website every week. And we see yesterday was the most amazing day on the Mall in Washington, Rededicate 250. And tens of thousands of people streamed into the nation's capital for that, and many, many more watched online. I was there. It was amazing. God is doing something in this moment, and I believe it has everything to do with us looking back at our history as we celebrate America 250.
Absolutely. That Rededicate 250 event, Rav was there on the ground. It was just so impressive and so awesome to see so many people coming together in D.C. especially. What do you think a national renewal of faith would look like today? We've talked about what it has looked like in the past, but what do we need to do to make sure that faith is at the forefront of our American culture?
The first thing that we need to do is remember the mighty acts of God in America, not just in the scriptures. The scriptures tell us in Psalm 145, remember God's mighty acts. And Americans need to look back and really research the true history of America. That's why this book came about that I wrote. About 6 years ago, God put it on my heart to pray for the nation out of the history of the nation. And so when I went back to research, I learned many things, going back to writers who had consulted original documents about what the role God played in America truly was. And the first thing we need to do is remember. So my book is half history with dates and facts and people, and half prayer for the nation in every chapter, because before us, for over 400 years, the faithful went before America, seeking God on behalf of the colonies, and then seeking God on behalf of this new nation, the United States of America, seeking God as they gathered at the Constitutional Convention to actually write the Constitution. You know, they were arguing at the beginning of that convention, and it wasn't until Benjamin Franklin suggested, we need to pray. We prayed throughout the war, right in this room, he said, and I paraphrase. And do we think that an empire can be built without his assistance? Once they had prayed, the delegates penned the greatest Constitution the world has ever known, and we celebrate that Constitution now.
Oh my gosh, that is so, I'm inspired. I have to read this book. I have to educate myself. Cynthia Scott, we so appreciate you being with us this morning and sharing more about all of this.
Thank you so much.
We'll be back with the second hour of American Sunrise in 2 minutes. Stick around.
Hey, Tracy, T. Bates here. Good morning again.
Hey, good morning. We've got some hometown forecasts. And I think I got Jen's video in our system.
Hey, Ryan, you're kind of breaking up a little bit. Breaking up here. I can hear 50% of what you're saying. Yes, sir.
Yes.
So we're coming in. Yeah. Congresswoman David Brody, hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you coming on our show.
Thanks for having me.
All right. The feeling is mutual then. All right. Good.
How are you, Congresswoman? Terrence Bates here. Nice to see you.
Good morning. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good.
You sound like such a soothing voice, T. Bates.
Well, thank you, David. Please take a nap, and we'll be with you in 1 minute and 20 seconds.
I could use a soothing voice. That's nice.
Yeah, it's very NPR.
All right,
it's very NPR without the liberal bias. I call Ben Carson the human chamomile tea.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
Oh, he's fantastic. T. Bates, I think Trump is pointing at you. Just so you know.
He is. He's saying you're the one.
Ryan, really quick.
You're the one, Bates. Run for
The
president in 2028.
pronunciation of the man's last name in G17, Sab. I just want to double check. Okay, thank you.
You know. Coming up on the second hour of American Sunrise, a clear warning. President Trump says the clock is ticking on Iran as talks to end the Islamist regime's nuclear program continue to stall. We'll have the latest just ahead. Plus, Democrats overwhelmingly reject a resolution honoring law enforcement, with leftists refusing to back down from their defund the police mantra. We're going to unpack what that means later on. Also ahead, a shakeup in Louisiana. My goodness, incumbent Senator Bill Cassidy failing to advance to a runoff primary election after voters select Trump-backed candidates to replace him. We're going to unpack that development later in the hour. Those stories, so much more, as the second hour of American Sunrise starts on a Monday. Right now. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrence.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
Welcome back to the second hour of American Sunrise. I'm David Brody, coming to you from D.C. Let's bring in Emily Finn, who's in West Palm for Dr. G this morning, and T. Bates in our Denver newsroom. Good morning to both of you. How was your weekend? Emily, how was your weekend?
I had a phenomenal weekend. I spent it in Beverly Hills and Los Angeles. Went to Rodeo Drive, walked around, had a great time.
Ooh, little snap.
Go
Come on
Queen.
now.
You go Queen.
Oh, thank you, Terrence. Thank you. Yes, Emmy Rose was feeling a little bougie this weekend, so I had to get away. Had to get out to California. It's my old home. I lived in San Diego for a few years. Went up to Los Angeles all the time, so it was good to reconnect.
That's pretty cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
How are your
weekends? I wasn't expecting that response.
Yeah, I was not expecting that either.
You guys, I'm always going to some concert or some crazy place. You know, I'm always traveling.
That's true.
to be young again and not have family commitments and all that. You can have both of my kids. They're sweet girls, and they come with the tax write-offs. You can have both of them, and I'll trade your life and go to.
Well, I am certainly hoping that motherhood is my next chapter in life, so I can practice. I can practice babysitting the girls, Terrence.
There you go. There you go. They'll be on the 9 o'clock flight tonight. I'll see you tomorrow.
Fantastic.
All right,
fantastic.
guys, let's get to this morning's headlines. The U.S. Justice Department reportedly preparing an indictment against former Cuban President Raul Castro. It could be handed up as soon as Wednesday, we're hearing. The move comes as President Trump has publicly threatened military action against the communist-run island. The expected indictment is said to be centered around Castro's alleged role in the 1996 shoot-down of 4 airplanes linked to Miami-based exile group Brothers to the Rescue. Raul Castro, by the way, was serving as Cuba's defense minister at the time, before later being elevated to president. Criminal charges against the 94-year-old former Cuban dictator could set the stage for U.S. military action similar to the operation that landed Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, in a New York jail. Meantime, it is back to the drawing board for Senate Republicans as they seek to fund President Trump's $1 billion ask for security additions at the White House. At issue is a Senate parliamentarian saying that part of the immigration enforcement reconciliation bill, in which the funds are earmarked, does not meet the Senate procedural rules. The parliamentarian argues a project as large and complex as the president's East Wing renovation and ballroom is too broad to be included in the GOP's ICE funding bill. Caught on camera, a fiery fighter jet crash in Idaho. All of this happened during an air show at Mountain Home Air Force Base in the western part of Idaho. As you can see, 2 Navy E-818G Growlers collided during an aerial demonstration. The good news is the 4 crew members on board the planes ejected safely and are said to be in stable condition, and no one on the ground was hurt. But as you see, the planes fell to the ground and exploded in flames. That's a quick check of your headlines. Now let's get a quick check of your forecast. Weather Nation meteorologist Tracy Anthony standing by with your hometown forecast. Tracy, take it away. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. You know what? We're going to start off in Southwest Florida from our very own Rav Mod. So this was a video that she captured yesterday. This was a small circulation. You can kind of see as some of the objects there get picked up. You can see it's getting picked up in that circular motion. So oftentimes that's how you can kind of tell if it is a tornado or one trying to be a tornado versus straight lined winds. But very cool. I love when those videos come from, you know, our very own community and family here. So Cape Coral, you are going to be hot, you're going to be steamy, and that's going to bring in chances for rain over the entire week and into the weekend. But this is much needed rain for South Florida. So thanks, Rap Mod, for sending that in. Des Plaines, I think I'm saying that right. Des Plaines, Illinois. This is just north of Chicago. This is our next stop from Scotty Reddy on Getter. 82 degrees today. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. We do have a cold front that's going to work through. It's dropping your daytime highs down to the 50s by Wednesday, but we do have a threat for strong to severe thunderstorms throughout the day today. You're in that level 2 severe weather outlook. Now, last stop is Monticello, New York, where you are hot. You have the potential for record high temperatures. This coming in from Getter from hard question number 15. You will feel a big cool down by Thursday, dropping back down to the 60s. So going from close to 90 degrees down to the 60s. It's not just New York, though, really from the mid-Atlantic up to New England. We could have record high temperatures between now and Wednesday. So I know we have a few viewers that were dropping in, saying they were in New Jersey, Connecticut. Brace for that heat over the next couple of days. Terrence?
All right. Thanks so much, Tracy. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good rest of the day.
You as well. And don't forget to download the Weather Nation app for all your latest weather updates throughout the day.
All right. Thank you so much. Let's get you over to David Brody now. David, good morning, sir.
Good morning, T. Bates. All right. President Trump is escalating his warning to Iran, saying, quote, the clock is ticking, and threatening much harder U.S. strikes if Tehran does not move closer to a deal over its nuclear program. So according to Axios, Trump and his top national security advisors are actively discussing military options, which includes more aggressive campaign targeting Iranian infrastructure. Joining us now with reaction to South Carolina Congresswoman Sherry Biggs. Congresswoman, thanks for being here. You know what? Iran just doesn't seem to quite get the message, and it seems like they're going to pay the price here. It wouldn't surprise me if it's later this week. What is your sense? Good morning to you.
Well, good morning, and thank you so much for having me today. I got to tell you, I think President Trump has been very patient and tried to give them every opportunity to do the right thing. But I don't think it's in them, and I think they're going to have to learn the hard way. But I applaud the president for his efforts. We have to complete this mission, and we have to make sure that America is put first, and the safety of our future generations is at stake. So I thank the president for what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Congresswoman, I'd like to shift gears just a little bit because President Trump is threatening to support a primary challenge against Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. And she, of course, is one of his longtime allies. But this threat comes after she signaled support for Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie. President Trump blasting Boebert on Truth Social. I'm sure by now you've probably seen the post. He calls her weak-minded and a carpetbagger over her support for Massie. Massie, of course, has repeatedly clashed with the president. In a post on X, Boebert then responding, saying, "Yes, I saw the president's post. No, I'm not mad or offended. I know the risks when I agreed to stand by my friend Thomas Massie. I was and I will be America first, America always, and MAGA onward," she writes. So where do you stand on all of this? And do these sorts of threats against colleagues at all concern you and maybe some of your colleagues there in the House in terms of President Trump's reaction, if you may not necessarily be in lockstep with him at all times?
Well, obviously, I don't like what's going on. I try to take President Reagan's advice and don't punch my own colleagues. We have plenty of opportunities to par with the Democrats, but I can understand the frustration from President Trump. I have not had the opportunity to speak to Lauren Boebert. I can say that my ideas don't really align with Thomas Massie. But at the end of the day, I have to make sure that I'm representing the 3rd District of South Carolina. So I am laser focused on my district and making good decisions. And one thing that I think everyone should take note of, America citizens overwhelmingly voted in President Trump. They like his ideas. They like that he thinks outside the box, and I feel like we should support him. And I've been fortunate enough to support President Trump and have his support. So, I'm just worried about my own race and staying focused on my own district right now.
Absolutely, Congresswoman, and especially during a midterm election year. It's not good to see, infighting, if you will, among the Republican Party. Definitely, I would say you definitely want to see party unity. Is that something that you would want to see, and how could we bring the party together?
Well, I think we have to start making good decisions that support our party. I mean, these people with these ideas that tend to lean to the left, maybe they should reevaluate their own position and their support for the president. So at the end of the day, just making good decisions. I try to focus on what's important for my district, and that is conservatism. We uphold strong moral values. We hang tight to our faith and our family, and that's what I'm trying to represent and trying to support the president.
Congresswoman, we have about 30 seconds left. You mentioned your district. Where are they on President Trump? What about the midterms specifically? How concerned are you regarding the economy? Obviously, gas prices are up through the roof right now. Give us 30 seconds of where you think your district is right now.
Well, I've been out and about. When I'm not in D.C., I'm meeting with my constituents, and the people understand. I mean, yes, we're hurting at the gas pumps. Yes, we want to lower prices, and affordability is a priority, but they understand that this is short term and fully support President Trump in the 3rd District of South Carolina. And I feel like our state legislature is going to make good decisions to help us in the midterms. I fully support them and look forward in the next couple weeks to seeing how this plays out with our redistricting in South Carolina.
Very nice. Congresswoman Sherry Biggs, great to have you on as always. It's always good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Nice to see you, Congresswoman.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Coming up, 173 Democrats, 173, refused to vote on a resolution honoring the nation's police officers. The full story next. Stay with us. Okay. Live on YouTube. I did bring snacks.
Hello,
Live on
YouTube.
Let's break the fourth wall, shall we? Here, I'm eating grapes. Is that okay? Can I have grapes?
Rav Mod, good morning. Love you, mean it.
Okay, sure.
I am sleepy.
Can we do it right after the show? We can do it right after the show. No, I've got like that 15 minutes before the meeting, if that's okay. Okay, but yeah, if we can do it like right at 10, that'd be awesome. All right, sounds good. Real quick, here's a quick little impromptu question for the chat. Emily Terrence, red grapes, green grapes, where are you? Or does it matter?
See, I think the better question is seedless or seeded. Seedless or seeded is the better question.
Seedless?
Seedless, for sure.
Why do I want a seed to get in the way?
I agree. I can't. See, I don't like having to work for my food. So, like, eating grape and then...
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah, it gets on my nerves. I'd rather not eat it all.
I'm sorry, you just spit on the set, T-Bates?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I realized, like...
All right, welcome back to American Sunrise. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's time now to drain the swamp, and this morning we are fleshing out anti-law enforcement rhetoric. A sharp divide emerged in the House during National Police Week after 173 Democrats voted against a resolution honoring law enforcement officers and condemning defund the police policies. The resolution, introduced by Iowa Congressman Zach Nunn, praised the extraordinary sacrifice of police officers and linked rising attacks on law enforcement to anti-police rhetoric and sanctuary policies. While every Republican present voted in favor, only 29 House Democrats supported the measure. The vote comes as FBI reports assaults on law enforcement officers reached a 10-year high last year, fueling a broader national debate over public safety, policing, and political rhetoric. Let's discuss more with David Brody and Terrence Bates. David, this is so infuriating for me to see because common sense has gone completely out the window. This is completely political because the Democrats, there is no way that they actually believe in this. They have to support our police officers. They're the thing that keeps us safe every day.
Well, you're absolutely right. But this is what politicians do. And let me take task a little bit with the Republican who brought it up. Because what he did was, and the Republicans and Democrats both play this game, they always attach additional language to the overall issue, right? So if the issue is support our police officers, you know, overall, you're going to have support. But the problem here, and I'm not coming to the defense of Democrats here, But also in the resolution was that he tied it to defund the police, he tied it to sanctuary cities, he tied it to anti-police rhetoric. And when you do that, he's purposely playing politics and he's putting Democrats in a bind to come up with a headline saying, you don't support our police officers, and they're going to run campaign commercials against those Democrats. But what he was also doing is when you put that other rhetoric in there about how you tie it to sanctuary cities, you're not going to get the Democrats to support it. So he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. He was playing politics to try to get a campaign ad. And guess what? Democrats do it to Republicans all day long, too. I just don't like the practice of it on either side. Now, having said that, do Democrats need to support law enforcement more than they do? 1,000,000%. But I just wish we would have a standalone resolution that said, do you support police in the local community doing their job or not? And my guess is you would have some Democrats still vote no because they're anti-police overall, and they want, like community organizers to go in and kind of help mediate T-Bates. So that's my view.
Unfortunately, there's a campaign from the left as it relates to the police and being anti-police. And I think we see that in terms of the documentation of any sort of interaction between law enforcement. I'm going to say law enforcement as a huge umbrella, not just local police, but any sort of law enforcement. Anytime there's a face-off between law enforcement and a suspect, people immediately pull out their cameras. And I'm all for accountability. I'm all for documenting it, but it creates an environment that inflames an already heightened situation, an already emotional situation. And anytime an officer, responds in a way that may, on its face, without real context, look aggressive or look inappropriate, then it blows up into something much larger, which forces police officers and law enforcement in general, let's just use kind of the broad term, to have to defend themselves when, in fact, there very well may not be anything to defend themselves against. And so it's really created this kind of adversarial environment between the public and law enforcement in general, which just isn't healthy.
No, it's not healthy at all. And to take that a step further, as David described for us, the politics and the games that our Congress plays on both sides, it's getting absolutely nothing done for the American people. So it's just tragic all around. not good.
Yeah, I agree with you, and you agree with me, so we agree with each other. Yes. I agree.
Yeah. All right. Coming up, we're headed down to Wall Street for the opening bell and insight into how to hold on to your hard-earned dollars with some common sense. We'll be back with more American Sunrise in just 2 minutes. Stick around.
All right. I think I confused myself on the last segment. I was like, you agree with me, I agree with you. I don't know what I was saying.
Full consensus.
Full consensus, that's right. Philip Patrick, it's David Brody. Do you have any gold for me today?
Unfortunately, David, we're running low, but it's good to hear your voice.
You're running low? I'm sorry.
Well,
how could you guys be running low?
I know where you can find some. There's a vault in Kentucky that I believe you can probably find a good little bit.
A good little bit. That's the hope, at least. How are you doing, guys? Good to speak to you.
Doing well. Good to see you and good to talk to you, Philip.
What is it, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning there? Who knows what time it is where you're at?
Too early is the answer.
Is the answer. Is the answer.
Pre-gym.
Yes.
I am loving this. Hi, Philip. Good morning.
Good morning, Emily.
Will you sell your accent to me? Like, how much would you charge? Like, could you charge for your accent? I would like. Go ahead.
It's yours. Just take it, practice it. We can speak as often as you like.
It's like the Little Mermaid. It's like Ursula. I want your voice.
Oh, my God. What am I looking for? Future markets.
I don't scare easy, I don't bend fast. I learned both from the way I was raised and the way I was asked. I believe in God, I believe in word, I believe free, and comfort comes last. I don't need a lecture, don't need shame, I don't need permission to say my name. It's God, grit, and guns, and a line in the sand.
Okay, so this is Hong Kong. Quite honestly, initially, before they told me this was Hong Kong, I thought this was like Bourbon Street in New Orleans right after Mardi Gras, but apparently this is Hong Kong. It's appropriate because the markets there are closing and our markets are set to open here in just a little bit, and so that's why maybe we're showing you this. Welcome back. Again, we're getting you ready for the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. That's set to ring in just a few minutes. Here's a quick look at the futures market. As you can see, the Dow is down right now. The rest of our board in the green at the moment. Looks like they're at the very bottom. Crude oil is down. But again, we'll get a full perspective of how the markets are looking here in about, let me look at my clock, about 6 minutes or so. That's when the markets will officially open, and we'll take you to New York for the opening bell shortly. First, though, let's get you over to David Brody. David, good morning.
Good morning. You never know what MD is going to bring up, our director, on the bump shots. I mean, who bumps in with Hong Kong? We do. There it is again. Beautiful. Why not?
I'm sorry, David. Does that not look like it could be Bourbon Street? Like, you know, you typically see the shots after a night of carousing on Bourbon Street and they're cleaning up, and there's always that van kind of in the middle of the shot. I was like, that's Bourbon Street, dude. That's not Hong Kong. That's Bourbon Street.
The old sketchy van on Bourbon Street. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay. All right. I guess we'll move on. Where there are supply constraints on commodities, prices surge. You saw it with fuel prices when the Strait of Hormuz was blockaded. You know what else, by the way, is a limited commodity? Gold. They mine it out of the ground, and when it's gone, it's gone. I mean, governments just can't print more of it, and that's why everyone from central banks to savvy savers are diversifying with gold. Now, if you've been thinking about it for years, but you still haven't moved some of your savings into physical gold, the Birch Gold Group is who we trust here to help you. Because now through May 29th, Birch Gold is giving first-time gold buyers a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. Whoa. For details and a free information kit on diversifying into gold, this is what you do. You text America to the number 989898. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or a 401k, by the way, into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. So text America to the number 989898 to qualify, or at least to see if you qualify for a first-time gold buyer rebate of up to $10,000. Once again, text America to 989898. There it is on the screen. All right, joining us now with more is Birch Gold Group Precious Metals Specialist, Philip Patrick. Philip, always good to see you, sir. All right, last week we received the April CPI report. Came in hotter than forecast, so talk us through it. Good morning, by the way. Hello.
Good morning. Good to see you, David, as always. It was way above forecast. 60 basis points for the month, or 3.8% annualized. Core CPI, which leads out food and energy, looked significantly better at just 40 basis points for the month, or 2.8% annualized. So no surprise, most of the rises came from the energy sector, with gasoline specifically up 28%. Overall, it wasn't necessarily what we wanted to see. It was better than March, but it, every single item in the metric was up above the Fed's 2% target. So certainly not ideal. What we're seeing, obviously, is an energy shock from what's happening in the Iran war. And I think the administration know the sooner that thing's over, the better for the economy domestically and globally. So it's just a case of waiting it out, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about the Fed for a second. I know the Federal Reserve is just as focused on prices as American families. What changes can we expect to see with Kevin Warsh taking over as chair? What's your sense here?
Look, it's going to be a tough one. We know President Trump desperately wants rates to come down, and I think Kevin Warsh has that in the back of his mind. However, what we just mentioned about CPI is going to make rate cuts difficult. We've got inflation right now exploding. Job numbers really are not bad at all. So from a Federal Reserve standpoint, there's not really the catalyst or the rationale to lower rates. For that reason, I suspect rates will probably remain until at least next year. The he's going to be ending this conflict in Iran sooner rather than later. The longer it drags on, the more entrenched inflation will be. If he cuts too soon and the markets believe he's doing it on the back of pressure from the executive, I think we're going to see rates go up regardless of what Walsh does. So again, my prediction is we won't see rate cuts until next year.
Yeah. Hey, Philip, we got about 20 seconds or so. Give us the case for gold in an economic environment like this and tell us about Birch Gold. Go ahead.
Yeah, look, I think it's very simple. Gold prices are moving up this year as they did last year. It really hasn't stopped. We saw a dip at the beginning of the year, but nothing has changed in terms of the fundamentals. We're talking about inflation rising. We have still a US dollar that's under pressure. We have volatility all around, geopolitical instability. This is the perfect storm for gold. JP Morgan say gold will hit 6,300 by the end of this year. So I think there's a lot of scope for upside. Lots of reasons to buy it, and the market keeps moving. So people should get the information and see why.
Plus, we know Trump loves gold. All right. Thank you, Philip. Philip Patrick. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
It's time for the opening bell, sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
This first day of trading in the week set to get underway here momentarily. You see the applause there, and now you hear it. That means the opening bell is not far behind, and then we'll get an idea of how the markets are looking here on this Monday. All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The bell is ringing, which means the markets are now open. Those first sales are being entered, and just like that, looking pretty good top to bottom. The Dow, S&P 500, and the NASDAQ all in the green. Crude oil looks like it is the only down spot right now, and that's probably a good thing. Hopefully that will work to bring down your gas prices a little bit. Oil prices have been up, obviously, given the ongoing situation there in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. Otherwise, though, our board looking good pretty much from top to bottom. We'll continue to monitor it for you, though, throughout the day. Still to come here on American Sunrise, Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy ousted as Louisiana voters advance two different Republican candidates to replace him. We'll break down the details after the break. It also goes to show President Trump has the Midas touch. We'll talk about it.
This Memorial Day weekend, it's more than an event. It's a celebration of the United States of America and the people who love her. Join Real America's Voice and Real America's Music for Celebrate Freedom, a one-of-a-kind live broadcast and concert experience at the iconic Marty B's in Dallas, Texas. From 4 to 9 p.m., patriots from across the country will come together for an unforgettable night, honoring faith, freedom, and the spirit that makes this nation strong. The entire event is live, kicking off with a powerful hour of worship, followed by a national broadcast hosted by Bo Davidson, featuring voices you trust like Ben Berkwam, and building into a full concert experience. With performances from artists Wynn Williams, Inside Out, and Ram artists Deep Hawk, Natasha Owens, Celeste Kellogg. Tickets are free, but you must register, and they will go fast. Scan the QR code now to lock in your spot before they're gone. Celebrate Freedom, presented by Patriot Mobile and Preborn. Let's celebrate America together.
Toth. It's pronounced Toth, by the way.
Brother?
Toth.
Toth.
Yep.
That's
Stevie
right.
Steve.
We know Steve.
Terrence Bates here. Good to see you, Steve. How are you?
Brother, I'm well, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Great to be with you.
We love having you on, Steve.
I am actually in Wisconsin. I'm with my grandkids now, so I'm half a continent away from Texas.
How long are you still going to be there in Wisconsin?
I come back to Texas tomorrow. It's weird.
Okay.
I have no gun, no boots.
Completely out of your element, huh?
Completely out of my element.
Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. I'm David Brody. Thanks for joining us this morning. We invite you to join us in the conversation. We got Getter, we got Rumble, we got YouTube. We're live on the chat all the time, even during the breaks, which can be scary. Potential lawsuit. Just kidding. We're there. We love it. All right, time to take the political pulse of America. Here is the beat today. A major shakeup underway in Louisiana politics after a Trump-backed challenger defeated Republican Senator Bill Cassidy. He was one of the few GOP senators, by the way, who voted to convict President Trump during his 2021 impeachment trial. See ya, Bill. Congresswoman Julia Letlow advanced to a Republican runoff after finishing ahead of Cassidy in Saturday's primary. By the way, another Trump-aligned candidate, former Congressman John Fleming, also advanced, knocking Cassidy out of the race altogether. You know, President Trump celebrated the results online. Of course he did, calling Cassidy's political career over. Cassidy had spent years trying to repair his relationship with Trump after voting to convict him following the January 6th Capitol demonstration. But the president continued to attack the Louisiana senator as disloyal, making the race a major test of his ongoing influence inside the Republican Party. So let's bring in Emily and Terrence regarding this. Emily, what do you make of this? I tell you what, you take on Trump, you better be careful.
You better be careful is right. I mean, Lauren Boebert, I think even she's been in the crosshairs recently. We were reporting on that earlier. Yeah, President Trump, this is very consistent with him. Loyalty is extremely important to him. And if you cross him, Terrence, you will find out later what that means.
Well, I'm not trying to F around and find out in any way, shape, or form, so I definitely am going to watch my words in this segment. But I think a bigger issue here is, and it's not an issue, but I think the bigger takeaway here is that President Trump is so powerful that his endorsement, his backing, tends to win races more so than they don't. And it just goes to show how the American people, more importantly, the electorate, trust President Trump. And if he says, I'm with this guy or I'm with this gal, this is someone who I support, that person has a much better opportunity to win a primary, to win a race than without the president's endorsement. I think, David, that's really telling.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about it. And there's a long list of anti-Trump candidates that Trump has knocked off, no doubt. Of course, I think of Liz Cheney as one of the big ones. But there's others that ended up not running because Trump was involved heavily, like Adam Kinzinger, for example, right? I mean, he didn't even run because he knew the writing was on the wall. There's a guy, Fred Upton in Michigan, same thing. And I can go down the list of people. It's not just people that ran and lost because they were the anti-Trump candidates, people that never even decided to run again because they knew Trump the Trump-backed candidate would be able to beat them, which, Emily, brings us to this part of the scenario, which is Tom Massey. There is a big election, as we all know, tomorrow. It's the primary in Kentucky. And, of course, we know that President Trump has backed Massey's challengers, as we mentioned with Lauren Boebert. So those results coming in tomorrow night, we'll have them here Wednesday morning on American Sunrise. That is going to be a huge political story.
It's going to be a huge political story, especially during a midterm election year, to see just how much President Trump's endorsement, how much weight that really does carry. And I think looking towards the end of this administration, right, the end of Trump's political career, what I'm most interested in is his endorsement for 2028. Who's he going to be passing the torch onto to carry the party moving forward? Obviously, Thomas Massey, this is going to be interesting to see how much, like I said, how much weight his endorsement carries. But that is what I think is going to be even more important, Terrence.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something we're watching. And really, Thomas Massey's race is even more interesting because he is a popular incumbent. Not only is he an incumbent, but he's a very popular incumbent in his district. And so I'm curious to see if he's going to be able to continue to keep that, the support that he's had in the past, or if Trump's, opposition is going to be so strong or strong enough to unseat him. I'm going to be up all night, so tomorrow I'll be bleary-eyed, but I'm going to be, well, it probably is not going to be, it's going to be an early night, 8, 9 o'clock, and the thing should be done. Let's hope. But I'll be watching it. That's the point.
Yeah, and those polls in Kentucky usually close early. By the way, I think Tom Massey's going to lose. I think he's going to. Yeah, I think he's going to lose. And once again, if I'm wrong, you know who said it. That's you, T. You said it, not me.
I don't know. I'm on the fence on it. Because he typically has a pretty strong showing in that district. He's done very well.
Oh, sure.
Now, he hasn't been on President Trump's radar until now, but it's going to be interesting. I can't call it. I can't call it. I can't call it. I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll show up for work on Tuesday and Wednesday, and we'll figure it out. All right. Changing gears now. Texas Governor Greg Abbott staying on the sidelines in one of the most contentious Republican Senate runoffs in the country. He's refusing to endorse either Senator John Cornyn or Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Abbott said he has worked very closely with both men, but does not plan to take sides ahead of the May 26 GOP runoff. The race has become really a major battle between the Republican establishment and the MAGA wing of the party, both candidates attacking each other in a bitter statewide campaign. Joining us now to discuss more is Texas State Rep Steve Toth. Steve, what do you think? I mean, this is coming over the Memorial Day weekend, lower turnout. You wonder if Ken Paxton, it seems like Ken Paxton could pull this thing out. What do you think?
Yeah, this is the perfect scenario for Ken Paxton. This is going to be a grassroots effort. And, I can't tell you the number of town halls and meetings that I've had with constituents across the state of Texas. And the question that I always ask is, over the 42 years that John Cornyn has been there, what has he done? What issue has he led on? What is going to be his heritage for the state of Texas? And the answer is nothing. He hasn't done anything. Ken, on the other hand, has led multi-state coalition lawsuits, the most successful coalition ever built by any state attorney general, and has successfully sued the federal government more times than anybody. He's brought billions and billions back to the state of Texas and is defending us from the feds. He's done an incredible job.
Steve, you unseated Dan Crenshaw, the incumbent in the U.S. House. Now you're, of course, headed to the general election for the U.S. House. As you look at what's happening in Washington, are you disappointed? Are you disappointed in the work that's being done in that chamber? Are you excited about what you potentially can add? How do you assess what you might be going into? And we're just going to go ahead and claim that you're going to go ahead and win this race. I'm
grossly disappointed in the Senate. And, having Cassidy kicked out, and I got to tell you something, based on, he didn't lose because Trump didn't have Trump's endorsement. Trump endorsed it. When you come in third place and you're a sitting senator and you trail the first and second place winners by as much as he did, that's not Trump effect. That's the effect of the fact that you're no longer representing your state. You're no longer representing your people. And I mean, that should have been just talk about a total slap in the face. He was awful. I'm so glad that he's gone.
Wow, tell us
hey,
how
Steve,
you really feel.
I just want to follow up really quickly because you singled out the Senate, not the House. Are you satisfied with the work that's being done in the House, and you think that the Senate is really stymieing President Trump's agenda for moving forward?
They are. I mean, it's the graveyard now. I mean, the Senate has become the graveyard of anything that Trump wants to get done. The Save America Act needs to happen. We have got to push that legislation through. And yet, guys like Cassidy and Cornyn are nowhere to be found. They're not showing any leadership whatsoever.
Steve, I do want to turn now to the Attorney General's race in Texas. State Senator Mays Middleton and former U.S. Attorney John Bash are competing to succeed Ken Paxton, who is running for the U.S. Senate. Middleton has emphasized his record in the Texas Senate and alignment with the MAGA movement, while Bash has highlighted his experience as a federal prosecutor and former Trump administration official. What does this Attorney General runoff tell us about where the Texas GOP is headed overall?
Okay, so this is Mays Middleton against Chip Roy to replace Ken Paxton. And
yes, that's right.
So those pictures are wrong. I endorsed Mays early on in this race for Attorney General, but that was before Chip Roy got into it. Chip is a freedom fighter in the Freedom Caucus there in D.C., and it's going to be a toss-up. In fact, I just endorsed Chip. I'm endorsing it this morning, so I'm co-endorsing in this race. But you've got two really fine people that love Texas, that are committed to Texas, and are committed to the grassroots and listening to the people of Texas.
My sincerest apologies to you, sir, on our oversight on that error.
No problem.
Hey, let me ask you about this. No one's overlooking James Tallarico down there. He seems to be a wolf in sheep's clothing. What do you make of his chances down there? I know he's the Democrat. You're a Republican running for different office down there. But Tallarico is making waves. The media is going to love him. I tell you what, he's a dangerous candidate because if people aren't paying attention, he sounds sweet and he's got good rhetoric, but some of what he's saying is nutso.
Yeah, this time 2 years ago, when Ted Cruz was running against Colin Allred, Ted was behind by 8 points. And then we announced that Colin Allred had one vote where he supported biological males in girls' sports, and he went from winning by 8 to losing by 8. And, right now it's a toss-up between Tallarico and whoever the Republicans put up. But when we show the votes of him supporting biological males in our daughters' bathrooms and showers, we show his support for transgender genital mutilation of children. When James Tallarico's record really gets out, he's going to get destroyed. This is a guy that was one of the nastiest people from the back microphone to the front mic in the Texas House, that in one session goes from this nasty, caustic, mean person to all of a sudden a Methodist pastor, a Presbyterian pastor. Talk about a total remake, and he is exactly what you just said earlier. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Nothing short of that.
Yeah. Steve Toth, great to have you with us today, as always. Thank you.
Good to see you, Steve.
God bless you guys.
Bless you.
All right. By the way, if you're 64 or older, I'm close. I'm 61, but I'm paying attention. This is something you need to hear. Medicare is complicated. We all know that. But it doesn't have to be stressful. So there's a group called Chapter, and they are the only Medicare advisor that compares every plan nationwide. On the phone with you, they're going to look at your doctors, your prescriptions, your priorities. They're going to help you understand what you actually have and whether something better is available. I love this. No pressure, by the way, no agenda. After one call, Jody said the experience was a, quote, blessing. She was blown away by how knowledgeable and honest they were. So they must not be from Washington. If you're already on the right plan, they're going to tell you. If you're not, Chapter will help you switch. Folks who found new plans with Chapter have saved an average of, wait for it, $1,100 a year. Hello? That ain't chump change or Trump change. Anyhow, call 843-MED-HELP. Take 20 minutes and see for yourself. 843-MED-HELP. It's completely free, and I think you'll be glad that you did. All right, coming up, wow, big story over the weekend, and here we go. Colorado Governor Jared Polis facing some pushback from Democrats after commuting the sentence of former election clerk Tina Peters. She will be free come June. The details after the break. Stick around. Okay. We're live on YouTube. It's like live from New York. It's Saturday. Oh, it's the chat. Yay, better than Saturday Night Live. Though apparently, and I haven't seen the clip yet, apparently Will Ferrell hosted Saturday Night Live this weekend, and he was Jeffrey Epstein, apparently. I have to see that. I haven't seen it. But it's a thing.
Let's spill some tea.
All right, Let's Spill Some Tea is sponsored by Artillery Tea Company. Right now, just for American Sunrise and RAV listeners, they've put together the Patriot Starter Kit. Normally $72 value for a limited time, just $29.95 with free shipping. Get yours by scanning the QR code on the screen. You get 5 premium sample packs of their top 5 flavors, including the #1 best-selling Morning Moab. That's at least 30 servings of the strongest, cleanest, plastic-free teas in America. Plus, you'll receive a free tactical tea guide with brewing instructions, recipes, and veteran stories, the Precision Brewing Magnet, and an exclusive Brew for the Brave sticker. All of this is completely risk-free. So if you don't love at least 3 flavors, you get a full refund and get to keep the tea. To get your limited time offer, Patriot Starter Kit, scan the QR code or visit artillerytco.com/patriot while it lasts. All right, time to spill some tea, and in the cup today, Colorado Governor Jared Polis. The Democrat governor is facing backlash from members of his own party after commuting the prison sentence of former county clerk Tina Peters. She was sentenced to 9 years in prison after being convicted of allowing unauthorized access to Mesa County voting systems. Polis announced Friday that Peters will be released on parole in June, calling her original sentence disproportionate for a nonviolent first-time offender. But the decision has sparked sharp criticism from Democrats, including Colorado's Secretary of State Jena Griswold, Senator John Hickenlooper, and Attorney General Phil Weiser, who called the commutation an affront to the rule of law. Let's discuss more with Terrence Bates and David Brody. Terrence, Tina Peters is someone that we talk about very often on our program. Rev has definitely continued on with this story, even though many others in the mainstream media haven't talked about it.
Absolutely. And the opposition from people like Jena Griswold, not necessarily a big surprise, since it goes to show she was, of course, was behind the prosecution and all of that. And so it's a slap in the face for her, at least she considers it that, because it shows that this that the sentence is probably disproportionate. I think the governor is really accurate with that, and it's about time. He probably could have done this commutation months ago, if not even a year ago, and it's nice to see that she will be getting out here pretty soon, especially given her well-documented health concerns. She'll be able to live out the rest of her days in peace, hopefully, and with freedom, David.
Yeah, looking forward to Dr. G getting back and talking about this, because she has been really at the forefront of our coverage here on RAV regarding Tina Peters. My sense of it is that Tina Peters was probably told that she needs to make some sort of statement of contrition because she did go up over the weekend. And let me just read you a couple sentences from that. She said, quote, "Thank you, Governor Polis. I made mistakes, and for those I am sorry. 5 years ago, I misled the Secretary of State when allowing a person to gain access to county voting equipment. That was wrong. I've learned to grow. I've learned and grown during my time in prison, and going forward, I will make sure that my actions always follow the law, and I will avoid the mistakes of the past. I'm assuming she had to put that out as part of kind of like the plea deal, if you will, or some sort of clemency deal, I should say. So, you know, so take those words with that understanding. But she'll be out, and praise God for that.
Yeah, it'll certainly be interesting to hear what Dr. G has to say when she gets back. I know, like I said, this is something that she's been very closely covering. Still to come on American Sunrise, David Brody is standing by with the top story he's keeping his eye on today. The One to Watch is next. Don't miss it. Sounds good. You're getting locked in the dungeon for that, right? Come on, man.
Ryan, can we all join in the flogging? I just want just a free lick. Can we join in too?
That was funny.
We love you, Ryan.
As my girl Hannah Montana always says, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days.
That's true, Ryan.
We all should have caught it too. Like the moment he said it, I was like, "That's right." I didn't think about it. Like, yeah, I just didn't think about it.
It's my fault too. I should have read the script. I did not.
No,
obviously.
But all of that said, I still want to flog you. I just want to get a free lick.
No, it's just fun. It's just good sport, honestly. It's good sport. We love you, Ryan.
Actually, I don't love you. I really like you, but...
I'm not crying. You're crying.
All right, welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Emily Finn. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. It is time now for the One to Watch. And David, what are you keeping your eye on today?
Well, I'm keeping an eye on my waistline, first of all, just because I'm way overweight. But other than that, I'm looking at this monologue from Bill Maher over the weekend, where he slammed anti-Zionist rhetoric on both sides of the aisle. Critics of Israel seem to apparently believe the Jewish state is the world's worst offender of everything, including human rights. But as Bill Maher points out here, there are far worse offenders that get little to no recognition for their crimes. It's called hypocrisy. Have a look.
Now, it's everyone's right in a free country to be anti-Semitic, but enough with hiding behind Israel or Zionism or Netanyahu. If you think, as so many do now, that when it comes to human rights, Israel is the monster country of all time, you either don't read or you don't care about your own hypocrisy. Because there are so many worse places. But that's where we are these days. No Jews, no news. Haha. But China, Russia, the Sudan, Iran, Myanmar, Haiti, the Congo, North Korea, all way worse. And that's how you know it's anti-Semitism. It's the inconsistency.
I mean, tell me where he's wrong. Anyone? Bueller?
No.
Bueller? Anyone?
Absolutely. And quite honestly, I hadn't even thought of it in those terms.
Yeah.
I think he makes a great point. makes a great point.
It's always
like
about
you
the
said,
Jews. It's always about the Jews.
I will say this is not the first time that I have agreed with Bill Maher. It's kind of crazy because I know growing up, my parents were always like, this guy's nuts. He's like atheist, liberal, like has the worst ideas. But I've been listening to his podcast. He recently had a podcast with my favorite rock star, Youngblood, so I had to tune in. I actually watched the whole thing. This guy's really smart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He is.
And you may not always agree with his perspective because he has some perspectives I'm sure many of our audience don't agree with, but at least he's thinking. He's thinking and he's basing his opinions on not only a lived frame of reference, but also an historical and objective frame of reference. Again, whether you agree with all of his thoughts or not, I think at least it gives you an informed perspective, David, which is something I can appreciate.
Well, you said the key word, right? Thinking. I mean, he's intellectually curious, and he's coming up with this because he's not reciting talking points, right? He's not on